Linux fans, Rob here, and welcome to Linux Quest. Today's video we're going to discuss GeckoLinux Cinnamon. So I was running GeckoLinux rolling with KDE Plasma Desktop. This time around I went with rolling again and wound up trying out Cinnamon, which I think is an excellent match. But before we get into all of that, I wanted to let you know I'm going to make a slight change on the channel. I am going to basically remove video ads. I've noticed kind of a trend on some of the other channels, not Linux related channels, but other channels, cars and things like that, that I have other interest in, where they seem to just be flooded now with video ads. And I thought about it and I just thought, you know, why have these annoying video ads? And I certainly don't want to ever get to a point where, you know, it's overly populated. So may still go with the banner ads on the side or the little banners at the bottom, just because the way YouTube is set up with Google, they want to see ads. They're going to populate videos with ads. So, you know, I want the videos to be seen. Just want to get rid of the annoying video ads. So we'll make that change. And all right, well, let's jump into GeckoLinux Cinnamon. And previous video again was on the Plasma Desktop, which was a good implementation. This time around, again, I went with rolling. I almost went static, and I just wanted to discuss with you kind of the process. First of all, the install was flawless, and the install is so much faster than the full-on 4.3 gigs that you get with openSUSE. Now, openSUSE does have a net installer where you can pull things down, or a small ISO now. For your USB flashing joy, but GeckoLinux is certainly small enough and quick enough on the install. The other thing that I appreciate is the file format that GeckoLinux defaults to, X4, whereas openSUSE out of the box default is Btrfs. And I'm not 100% sold on Btrfs yet. I think Fedora is going to be moving to that as default. Nevertheless, I appreciate that. Now, the one thing I will say in a negative light to GeckoLinux Cinnamon is it's, to my taste, pretty unattractive. But within about 15 or 20 minutes, because of how easy it is to theme Cinnamon, you can change all of that. The fonts out of the box look fantastic, and it's so nice to have all the codecs and everything set up for you, as well as some additional repos. So the other thing I'll talk about is just some of the differences. If you've never ran or tried an RPM based distro, it's going to be a little bit different. And within GeckoLinux, you're going to use the openSUSE tool yash. And yash is just one of those tools that once you find your way around and you figure it out, it's incredibly powerful. That's also one of the ways that you will access your software. The other way, which I really enjoy, is the one-click install right from the browser with the openSUSE setup. You can basically go in and choose Tumbleweed. If that's what you're running, that would be equivalent to the rolling release of GeckoLinux, or static, which would be the equivalent to Leap in openSUSE, and search for whatever software you're looking for. You can also install by app image. I believe we have set up 2 out of the box for snaps. I have to go back and check that. And then you can also just download an RPM and install it that way via yash. One of the things you're going to find, or you'll discover, is through yash, you're going to get an error message pop up telling you that the package is broken, or it's missing a file and its integrity is broken. What I have found is 9 times out of 10, if you just go ahead and click proceed, it will install without any issue. And I'm not sure what's going on with yash behind the scenes there. I know it checks for all the dependencies and making sure that you've got all the files and everything in place with that package for proper install. But if you go ahead and you click install or ignore an install, they all seem to work. I haven't had a failure yet on anything that I've installed. Now, Cinnamon Desktop to me feels really right at home within GeckoLinux, and that's not an option if you're doing the full-on install of openSUSE. So it's been a long time since I've installed the full-on 8 or 3 gig openSUSE, and I went this time with Leap as opposed to Tumbleweed. And so in between installs of GeckoLinux, Plasma and GeckoLinux Cinnamon, I went with that full install of openSUSE Leap. And from there, you're going to have two desktop choices. You're going to have Gnome and you're going to have Plasma. And I don't know, I have so fallen away from enjoying the Gnome experience. I feel like more and more they're just kind of like on the Apple side. Hey, we know what's best. This is the way we're going to set it up. And I know you can change all of that with extensions, which I did. I spent a good 30 minutes setting up all the extensions and everything within the Gnome Desktop. And at the end of the day, I'm just like, yeah, it's just not for me. So those are your two choices. And I'm saying all of that to say with GeckoLinux, you have a choice of a multitude of desktops. And Cinnamon, if you haven't tried Cinnamon in some time, or you've never tried Cinnamon on openSUSE, not that it's going to be that much different than, say, Linux Mint or other distros, it is a good experience. It does feel well put together. It's a current version of Cinnamon, so you're going to find that what you're used to if you run Linux Mint, for example, in setup and settings and things like that, all come together within GeckoLinux Cinnamon. So a few other things that I appreciate about GeckoLinux is it's fairly slim, meaning there's not a ton of pre-installed software, allowing you to go in and choose what you use and keep your OS slimmed down if that's what you like to do, and I happen to like that. And then some other nice things were in place. So Expo was in place, which allows you to, with one click, or you could set up a hot corner, for example, and show multiple desktops. The default is 2 desktops, but as you get into it, you can set up additional desktops if that's something you enjoy. So it was nice to have that in place as well. Overall, just a really good experience, a good combination between the Cinnamon desktop and GeckoLinux. So if you're going to kind of pop through, maybe you're a distro hopper like myself, you want to pop through and try, really would just say, hey, just go ahead and give the Cinnamon desktop a try. Personally, I would go with rolling just for a more updated kernel and updated packages and things like that, as opposed to static, where it'll be a good experience, it'll be very stable, and I don't think that you're going to notice any major differences in the OS. It's just that if you want stable updates, maybe not on the fringe of some of the Arch updates, then rolling I think would be a good way to go, just to kind of keep everything up to date. So, all right, well that's it for now. We'll go ahead and wrap it up. As always, thanks for watching.